Good morning, Emma Gold here from Sound Start Horse Training. Today I'm going to be bridling Winnie for the first time, but I've been meaning to do this for a while now and I just keep forgetting, and it sort of popped into my mind this morning. I thought, seeing I've been getting quite a few questions about bridling horses, bridling breakers, bridling difficult horses or difficult to bridle horses. I thought we would just go over it this morning. Winnie, to my knowledge, has never had a bridle on before, so she's going to react in a similar way to horses who are having issues being bridled or green breakers. So the really important thing with bridling is, especially for the first few times where the horse is still learning how to wear it, get used to the sensation of it coming on and off, is to not clang the bit up against the teeth of the horse. So when you're putting it in, it's really important not to unnecessarily bang the bit around in the horse's mouth, because it's quite unpleasant. I know some trainers like to spend some time bridling and unbridling. I don't make a big deal about bridling, even the ones that take a little bit to settle into it. I just usually go about my day. I just wait on the horses a little bit and not force the issue. So what we'll do is I'll show you how to bridle, and then I will show you how to unbridle these horses. Of course, to start with, you want to make sure that you can handle your horse's head quite easily. Make sure that they're not head shy. They don't have any issues with you handling their ears, because if they do, you're going to struggle to get the bridle on, the bridle head over them. So the next step is make sure that your bridle is a little bit loose, if anything. You don't want it too tight, okay? So when you put a bridle on for the first time, I prefer to have mine so that, if anything, they hang too low in the horse's mouth and you're not pulling unnecessarily on the corners of the horse's mouth. So here I'm just going to put my hand through the top in between the horse's ears over the pole, and then I'm going to pick the bit up in my fingers like this, and I'm going to just rest it just in front of the horse's teeth. So I've just moved the horse's lips. Now all I want, good girl, I just want her to open her mouth like that. That was perfect. So now she's going to mouth it, and we've bridled our horse for the first time. I'd like to make sure that our bit is not too loose and not too tight. So a lot of people go on the wrinkle premise. That's a very pony club minded thought process or teaching. You've got to go on your horse's mouth a little bit. So some horses have got very short mouths, and in that instance you will end up with some wrinkles, because if you lower the bit enough in the horse's mouth that there is no wrinkles, then the horse will constantly get their tongue over their bit because the bit's actually sitting too low in the horse's mouth. So you've sort of got to gauge that a little bit. Some horses have got longer mouths than others. The ones with a normal length or a little bit longer mouth, definitely you don't want wrinkles in their mouth. That means that there's already pressure on the bridle. So here, Winnie, can you zoom in a little? Okay. Winnie has a few wrinkles, but I would say Winnie's got a slightly shorter mouth than normal. So I don't think where that bit's sitting is in a bad position. She can't get her tongue. She hasn't managed to get her tongue over the bit yet. Now, if I start working and they get their tongue over the bit, I don't worry about it too much unless they do it for the whole session. Otherwise, I just sort of ignore it, and they sort themselves out. It's not comfortable for them to get their tongue over the bit. And if you keep fiddling, every time a horse gets its tongue over the bit, you go back, you stop them working, you try and fix it, and then go back to work. You're kind of rewarding the horse for getting its tongue over the bit. If you just ignore it, the horse will find where it's the most comfortable place to have the bit in its mouth. So I'm going to work Winnie now, and then we will come back to this video and I'll show you how to unbridle a horse. Okay, so Winnie's just had her first session in the bridle. We softened her vertically, we softened her laterally, both sides, and she did really, really well. As far as the first bridling and first work session in the bridle goes, she couldn't have done that much better. So now I'm going to show you guys how to take the bridle off. Like I said, it's really important that you set this up so that you're confident when you go in and you don't get into a train wreck. So I like to put my reins up near the top of the bridle to start with, near the crown piece. I've got my lead back on my halter. And what I will do now is, so with some of you, if you've got a horse that's got bridling problems, you'll put your hand up here to take the bridle off, and your horse is going to start throwing its head around. What I need you guys to do is just put your hand there and wait on them. Wait on them to stop. And once they stop doing it, give them a rub, go back. If they go throwing their head around again, just wait on them. Wait till they stop throwing their head around, and wait till they wait on you a little. Then you might need to go in and start moving the crown piece. And if they start throwing their head around again, you just keep moving it until they stop. And it's just a really slow process until you can take it off over their ears. Now, in that step, once you've got them off over their ears, usually your horses pretty much get it off me. And that's where I need you just to hold the halter, and you just need to hold the bridle in front of the horse's head until they stop moving around, and then just let the bit drop out of the horse's mouth like I'm about to show you. So here I've got my thumb under the crown piece, and Winnie's got no idea what's going on because she's never had this done before. So I'm going to make sure that I've got a little bit of control over her head, and I've just put a bit of pressure so she drops it down for me. Now I'm just going to flip one ear out, wait on her, flip two ears out. Now you can see how I'm holding that now in her mouth. That's no longer over behind her ears on her poll. So now what I'm going to do is run the bridle down the front of her face. This is the really important part because this is what allows the bit to just drop straight out of their mouth. So what I want her to do, and I might just hold my hand here so that she doesn't end up getting her nose too far out in front of the vertical, which will inhibit the bit dropping out. So now I'm just waiting on her to drop that. So she's holding that bit in her mouth. She doesn't understand what she's got to do. So I'm just going to wait on her. Okay? Just make sure the chin strap's not there. And as we come out, we drop it straight down towards the ground. So it always stays vertical, and you let the weight of the bit take it out of the horse's mouth. Good girl. Now, tomorrow, when I go to do this, she's a little bit more aware. So when I get the bridle here, she might either try and spit it out, or she might pull her nose out. If she pulls her nose out, I'm just going to put my hand here and encourage her to push her nose in, or you can use a bit of pressure on the halter to get her head to come back down. But you need to make sure that you keep the bridle head flush with her face until she comes back vertical, and the bit will just drop out. If you let or try and take the bit out while the horse's nose is out past the vertical, it'll get caught in the bottom teeth. Then you'll end up with the horse pulling back, and it'll give itself a really, really bad scare. And then you have bridling problems. The other thing that happens is people try to get the bit out too quickly, and it hits the horse's teeth. And it's not a very nice sensation for the horse, and they get real funny about getting the bit out of their mouth quickly and start to rush the process. So it's just about taking your time, waiting on your horses until they're relaxed and ready to let the bit out instead of forcing it to come out of their mouth. And what you'll find in time is, even when you go to bridle and you put the bit under their mouth, you'll find they'll actually start to take the bit up themselves without you having to push the bit into their mouth. Good job.